Welcome, adventurers! You've made it to the Wind Down, the live stream at the end of the Geekverse. It's a chill place to hang out here as the sun sets on another day. We're here to have a little chat, reflect on the day's successes, and prepare for a better tomorrow. So settle in with your favorite beverage this evening.
May I tempt you with a cup of chamomile?
Why, thank you, Dory. I would love a mug of tea this evening, but perhaps you would rather have some coffee, though I do recommend decaf this late in the evening. Or perhaps maybe a cold brew is more your style.
Oh, no thank you, Dory. A little red wine. For me, Isaac.
Sounds like an excellent choice, Gandalf. Whatever you want, it's yours. Could I offer you a bourbon, a martini, an old-fashioned, or something perhaps a little stronger? Ugh. Well, I mean, if that's really your thing, then okay, but I hope we can find something a bit better than that.
Romulan ale. Why, Bones, you know this is illegal.
I only use it for medicinal purposes.
All right, now we're talking. I'm Heath, and I'll be your host. Welcome to my home. Come one, come all, writers, artists, sculptors, storytellers, board gamers, streamers, dungeon masters, fans of sci-fi, fantasy, geeks of all kinds. Whatever your fandom, you have a place here. For soon it will be time for another long rest so that we can recover our hit points, our spells, and our abilities, so we'll be ready to fight on for another day tomorrow. But first, we all need a little time to reflect. Because you've survived another long, perilous day of wilderness treks, dungeoneering, and random encounters. And that's worth celebrating. Let's tell the tale. It's time for the Wind Down. It will improve your life. It really will. Give it a chance. Here we go. Well, hello, everyone! Well, this is going to be a very different kind of... What's going on with my hair? A very different kind of wind down tonight. Because we may be high energy, so kind of different from what we usually do on the Wind Down. But I thought it was just going to fizzle out and everything was going to be a bust. As far as announcements and news goes this afternoon, I've been trying to clip YouTube videos and get information out there about the dissertation and all of that. And then the Paizo news broke. So what do we think about it? Let's talk about it. Let's just hang out. Let's celebrate. Let's go over here. I see lots of people in the comments here. Vision is here. Welcome. Piano. And Piano is the man who is calling it, from the beginning, or, as far as all of the irrevocability and all of that. We got the fog machine going here in the office tonight. So we're just having a party. You got your favorite beverage with you? I got a glass of wine. I figured, hey, if I was sitting here and have a glass of wine, I might as well have a glass of wine to celebrate with all of you as well. Yes, Vision says, hit the like button and share it out. If this would be a great place to party. I'm taking a look at what's going on in the Ravenkeep Discord server chat on the Wind Down. I've got the Wind Down channel up so I can see what's going on. I know some people are watching Critical Role, and I didn't even think about that. So we're going to talk about that in just a moment. And if you haven't seen the actual announcement, I think that Paizo's website has crashed, but by chance, I had the announcement up in another browser, and I even saved it as a PDF. Oh, I should put the PDF in the Discord server so people can see it. But what I'll do is I'm going to bring it up here, so if you haven't seen it, we'll look at the announcement here in just a moment to get this started, so that if you haven't seen it or you can't get to it because the servers are down, we will have it right here. Mark says, been following up on a range of content creators' reactions to Paizo's announcement. Heath has been on the list for a while. Looking forward to the stream. Yeah, I figured I couldn't not do it. I was kind of getting myself back on schedule, I thought, today, and I did today. But hey, we got to do this right here. Oh, getting double audio on your end? Audio's good over here. Okay. News. What's news? I mean, there's news with Paizo. Is that what we're talking about? Walter Starr is here, says, drinking Redvolution by Botabox tonight to celebrate. Well, we are all celebrating. I just had, I got nothing special. Yellowtail Cabernet Sauvignon. So that's what I had available. So I was like, well, I'm going to have some. So that's what I'm drinking right here. It's more of a wind down or a wine up. Yeah, I know. Now it's kind of a wine up. That's exactly right, Timothy's saying. It really is. And I love what I laughed out loud, like literally actually laughed out loud when I saw that it was called Orc. Null Inquisitor says the age of the Orc has begun. I was reading through that when I saw it, and then I was like, oh my God, it's called Orc. It's called Orc. You've got to love that. You have got to love that. The age, Walter Starr says, the age of the OGL is over. The time of the Orc has come. That's right. The time of the Orc has come. I love that. Wowzers, nothing bad, but you look like a stereotypical YouTuber. You look like a stereotypical YouTuber face. Okay. Yep. So WCW says 1978 says time for me to learn Pathfinder 2e. Now we did the unboxing of the Pathfinder 2nd Edition box, and actually one thing I was doing was trying to clip that too, because I was trying to clip stuff on the dissertation, because I think that's important, and I still want to finish that. So there's going to be more clips on the dissertation that's coming out tomorrow, probably like 3 or 4 more, because I want to document that. I want to get that out there so that everybody has that, more accessible, so that we have that documentation out there. But then also I was clipping some of the Pathfinder stuff from the box set put out tomorrow too. So if people want just certain parts of Pathfinder, they can find it. So that'll be coming out. But then tomorrow we're going to look. We might as well, obviously, on the morning grind tomorrow, let's dive into this Pathfinder core rulebook. We can look at the Pathfinder starter box too, because we didn't really get into all of those rules on the starter box. But hey, there's a lot to get into here. So I definitely want to get a lot deeper into Pathfinder 2nd Edition as well, so we can all do it together. Hey, Mark Tassin's here. Mark, hey, Mark. Good to see you. Good to see you. Celebration time, right? Quabble says, drama is always fun and entertaining. Hashtag Orc Army. Both. Okay, I see. Yeah, we should have anticipated this. Why didn't we anticipate this? We should have anticipated this, because Pathfinder and Paizo came in and knew what to do. They knew what to do. Piano TM says, I've been hearing that, but I've always heard on various Pathfinder sites. And I'm not sure what that's in relation to. Okay, let's look at the PDF. Let's go over here and do this. Let's bring this up here. So let me come over here. Let me share the PDF first, and then we'll bring it up here on screen. Where did I put it? I just saved it. Let me find it on my computer. Okay, here. Okay, going on the wind down channel of the Ravenkeep Discord server. PDF the announcement. Got it right here. And scroll up. If you have a link to the Ravenkeep Discord server, you'll find it. There we go. That's going up right now. I'm going to bring it on screen though, so we can just party here. Present, share screen. So, here it is. All right. Here we go. So here's the announcement that came in from Paizo today that you may not be able to get to, but here's what it says. It says Paizo announces system neutral open RPG license. For the last several weeks, this is not HTML, so this is just a PDF. For the last several weeks, as rumors of Wizards of the Coast's new version of the open gaming license began circulating among publishers and on social media, gamers across the world have been asking what Paizo plans to do in light of concerns regarding Wizards of the Coast rumored plans to deauthorize the existing OGL 1.0a. We have been awaiting further information, hoping that Wizards would realize that for more than 20 years, the OGL has been a mutually beneficial license, which should not and cannot be revoked. While we continue to wait for an answer from Wizards, we strongly feel that Paizo can no longer delay making our own feelings about the importance of open gaming a part of the public discussion. We believe that any interpretation that the OGL 1.0 or 1.0a were intended to be revocable or be able to be deauthorized is incorrect and with good reason. We were there. They are very clear on this. Paizo owner Lisa Stevens and Paizo president Jim Butler were leaders on the Dungeons & Dragons team at Wizards at the time. Brian Lewis, co-founder of Azora Law, the intellectual property law firm that Paizo uses, was the attorney at Wizards who came up with the legal framework for the OGL itself. Paizo has also worked very closely on OGL-related issues with Ryan Dancy, the visionary who conceived of the OGL in the first place. And the more I've learned about that, when we saw his interview and then also going through the dissertation materials, the more I respect what was done there. I mean, that was absolutely a landmark and monumental. Paizo does not believe the OGL 1.0a can be deauthorized, ever. While we are prepared to argue that point in a court of law if need be, we don't want to have to do that. And we know that many of our fellow publishers are not in a position to do so. So that also puts them on the good side of everyone who can't afford to fight for themselves. They're saying they're putting a flag in the ground here and saying that they are prepared to argue that point in the court of law. And they haven't really even talked about at this point in relation to Pathfinder. They're about to, but it's their belief. That's based on the belief that it cannot be deauthorized ever. That's what they're saying. And they've said that multiple times. We have no interest whatsoever in Wizards' new OGL. Instead, we have a plan that we believe will irrevocably and unquestionably keep alive the spirit of the open game license. As Paizo has evolved, the parts of the OGL that we ourselves value have changed. When we needed to quickly bring out Pathfinder First Edition to continue publishing our popular monthly adventures back in 2008, using Wizards language was important and expeditious. But in our non-RPG products, including our Pathfinder Tales novels, the Pathfinder Adventure card game, and others, we shifted our focus from D&D tropes to lean harder into ideas from our own writers. By the time we went to work on Pathfinder 2nd Edition, Wizards of the Coast's open gaming content was significantly less important to us, and so our designers and developers wrote the new edition without using Wizards' copyrighted expressions of any game mechanics. While we still published it under the OGL, the reason was no longer to allow Paizo to use Wizards' expressions, but to allow other companies to use our expressions. Let's say that again. So while we published it under the OGL, talking about Pathfinder 2nd Edition, the reason was no longer to allow Paizo to use Wizards' expressions, but to allow other companies to use our expressions. We believe, as we always have, that open gaming gets games better, improves profitability for all involved, and enriches the community of gamers who participate in this amazing hobby. And so we invite gamers from around the world to join us as we begin the next great chapter of open gaming with the release of a new open, perpetual, and irrevocable open RPG creative content license, or ORC. And notice they italicized irrevocable. The irrevocable, perpetual, open RPG creative license called ORC. And I just laughed when I read that. That was hilarious. I love that it's called ORC. The new RPG creative license we built system agnostic for independent game publishers under the legal guidance of Azora Law, an intellectual property firm that represents Paizo and several other game publishers. Paizo will pay for this legal work. Right here. We invite game publishers worldwide to join us in support of the system-agnostic license that allows all games to provide their unique open rules reference documents that open up their individual game systems to the world. To join the effort and provide feedback on the drafts of this license, please sign up by using this form. And I have signed up Ravenkeep under that form. So I signed up, so I guess I'll get whatever it is, and we can talk about it on the channel as necessary and as it comes up. Oh, my fog machine needs to recharge. In addition to Paizo, Kobold Press, I mean, there's so many different publishers here. In addition to Paizo, Kobold Press, Chaosium, Green Rodent, Legendary Games, Rogue Genesis Games, and a growing list of publishers have already agreed to participate in the Open RPG Creative License, and in the coming days, we hope and expect to add substantially to this group. So everybody, it seems like, has gotten together. I mean, this affects everybody, so why not fight it all together, right? The ORC will not be owned by Paizo, nor will it be owned by any company who makes money publishing RPGs. Important right there. Azora Law's ownership of the process and stewardship should provide a safe harbor against any company being bought, sold, or changing management in the future and attempting to rescind rights or nullify sections of the license. So say that again, Azora Laws. So this is outside of the publishers. Paizo is not claiming this. Their ownership of the process and stewardship should provide a safe harbor against any company being bought, sold, or changing management in the future and attempting to rescind rights or nullify sections of the license. And I like this right here. They say, ultimately, we plan to find a nonprofit with a history of open source values to own this license, such as the Linux Foundation. And that kind of recalled to me what Ryan Dancy had been saying on the other live streams, or the live stream that he was on with Roll for Combat, when he did talk about a foundation that, he had originally set up. Well, let me put up this foundation that's a website that's kind of a marker that indicates that the OGL happened and what they were doing. This sort of seems like in that spirit. Of course, Paizo plans to continue publishing Pathfinder and Starfinder, even as we move away from the open gaming license. Since months worth of products are still at the printer, you'll see the familiar OGL 1.0A in the back of our products for a while yet. While the Open RPG Creative License is being finalized, we'll be printing Pathfinder and Starfinder products without any license, and we'll add the finished license to those products when the new license is complete. We hope that you continue to support Paizo and other game publishers in this difficult time for the entire hobby. You can do your part by supporting the many companies that have provided content under the OGL. Support Pathfinder and Starfinder by visiting your local gaming store, subscribing to the Pathfinder and Starfinder, or taking advantage of discount code OpenGaming during checkout for 25% off your purchase of the Core Rulebook Pocket Edition, or the Pathfinder Beginner Box. Support Kobold Press, Green Ronin, Legendary Games, Roll for Combat, Rogue Genesis Games, and other publishers working to preserve a prosperous future for open gaming that is both perpetual and irrevocable. We'll be there at your side. You can count on us not to go back on our word. Forever, Paizo Inc. So if you haven't heard, that's what happened. Pretty cool. I mean, that, like when Wizards rolled a 1. I'm going to look at the comments here. Oh my God, we have a record number of people here on the live stream. The record number of people on the live stream was 150 up until this moment, and I just looked up and I have 158. We have 158 people here. That is a record. Thank you so much, everybody. Please do hit like, and if you're not subscribed, please do subscribe. It would really help. I really love it. So thank you all so much. Thank you for being here for the party. This is incredible. So let's go over here and see what people are saying in the comments. Okay, PDF, please. I think that's where I was. I think it is. I think we might have come up with a new standard here. We are the orcs. Love the fogger in the back. Yeah, I figured, hey, I used this. The reason I got this was actually to play board games with, because ordinarily I've got a dungeon. I turned the spare bedroom over here into a dungeon to play board games in. It's the set for dinner and a board game. That's what it was. And so, of course, I have a fog machine. And I love playing like Hero Quest and Dungeons and Dragons with my nephews. But I said, hey, you know what? Why don't I just bring the fog machine in here to the office so that on the live stream, the wind down, we can use it. Let's see. There's too many comments to go through everybody's comment. Okay, Mark is here. So Mark says, assuming the license lets us accomplish our goals of sharing our system with everyone, we'd be happy to use it for Cool Name Goes Here system. So Mark is the founder and owner of Mechanical Muse. He runs the Mechanical Muse board gaming or tabletop gaming publishing company, and they have published The World of Ataltus. And we've looked at The World of Ataltus, the campaign books. There are 3 different campaign books. So he publishes The World of Ataltus, which we've looked at here on the channel, and everybody really seems to like. So that he does great work, and so now he's been working on a new game system as well. That right now, cool name goes here, placeholder for that, and live streaming its development. I know it's okay, so we're gonna have to keep track of that because I do have that open in another window, but I'm kind of covering it up right now. But we might get to that after this, after we get through the license announcement here. So I can imagine I was watching that stuff going by. Creative Burst, a $10 super chat. Thank you so much, Creative Burst. Says that one tip for looking over the rules, they recently had errata for the core rulebook. Oh, that is a good point. Thank you. I would not have thought about that. So I will look before tomorrow's morning grind stream. That's at 9:30 a.m. Central. I'll look for the errata so that if we're coming up with something, we might reference that as well. Oh my God! Think Tank Gaming says the Critical Role chat has been disabled. Hang on, let me switch over to that. Did they really disable the? This is on the Twitter. Well, I see some stuff going by right now. I do see chat going by when I was over there. Yeah, it is now the perfect time. Nephalor says, a friend of mine, lots of people are writing their own. There are a lot of these that are coming out. Now we're about to have this explosion of different types of RPGs or different new RPGs. Now, I'm sure they're not all going to win, right? You know, Kobold Press is developing one. The Black Flag, Mark Tassin and Mechanical Muse are working on the cool name goes here placeholder name right now for an RPG. You know, as far as those big development efforts. So we will see what actually wins and what goes forward, but we're going to be following them all here on this channel. Tony Weird is coming in for Pathfinder 2nd Edition. He says, been playing Pathfinder 2nd Edition game for almost a year now. Amazing fun and love the customization and variability. 3 action combat rounds for the win. We were looking at the 3 action round action economy. Okay, let me bring this up too. Yeah, we talked about this. We did a comparison, and when we on the Morning Grind live stream, I'm actually thinking about doing a more direct comparison. If that was on a live stream, I'm thinking of shooting a more direct comparison tomorrow. Jellic83 says, oh boy, the beginner box, the Pathfinder beginner box is everything the starter set is not. There's no white cardboard spacer taking up half the box. Not at all. Tokens, stuff for actual honest to goodness beginners. Well, beginners to Pathfinder, but not necessarily beginners to RPGs. Like I would have called it maybe as, to me, it's a starter set. So even if you're old hat to RPGs, I mean, I played a lot of RPGs, but starting with Pathfinder, man, it's a great set. In fact, let me grab this. It's sitting right over here. This is the Pathfinder starter box. It is heavier than the D&D starter box. The D&D starter boxes are thin. They are thin compared to what is in here. So, yeah, we did unbox this and take a look at it, and I was really excited about it. Paizo makes great boxes. We had been over the first edition box, as well, and I was like, wow, the first edition box is great. I just wanted to study it from what was inside and the product perspective. But then we got the second edition box, and I was like, wow, it is also fantastic. So Paizo does absolutely crush it in the area of box set beginnings. Absolutely. Hey, we hadn't actually taken a drink yet. So let's toast. Let's raise our glass. I haven't even taken a drink of my wine here. So it's time. Let's start with that. And let's raise our glasses. If you got a glass, let's do this together, right? Let's give a toast to Paizo, Pathfinder, and the coming release of ORC. Right? Here we go. To Paizo. All right. We got 169 people watching. Yeah, I mean, I'm here in the country, and so sometimes my internet does go in and out. Maybe I'm going to come up with some other way to do this, but at times I know that sometimes my internet comes in and out. Nothing I can do about it. It's nothing over here. I'm sorry about that, but that'll have to be a systematic and structural thing I fix. Oh, Desist Dawdling says, yep, the wind down is in the evenings. The age of the OGL is over. The time, I wonder, they must have thought about that. They must have thought about this phraseology. They must have. Okay, let's talk about that. Beyond subscriptions. So I hadn't really talked about that because I hadn't been live about that, but I know there were a lot of people who were calling for, I tell you what, we got 174 people here. I have a little more tequila left. If for some reason we get to 200 viewers, if I see 200 go by, I'll take a shot at tequila with you. This is a good night to do that. Actually, I just saw we just jumped up to 183. Okay, if we get to 200, I'll take that shot at tequila. So I know there were people calling for the D&D Beyond subscription. I wasn't actually to be canceled. I was not subscribed to D&D Beyond, so I wasn't able to cancel because I wasn't already subscribed. So I didn't cancel. But I know a lot of people called for that. But my philosophy on that has been what it has been for a lot of different areas in the Geekverse. Now, I think that when we talked about the OGL here on this channel, because I think it was very much worthy to talk about, and needed to be talked about, needed to have stuff get out there about it. But also, endless talking about stuff doesn't necessarily help. What changes people's mind is money. And it seems like I have no inside information. I have no ability to look in at all. But it seems like that people found a pressure point. If that's what they were looking at with D&D Beyond, and that's what they were trying to push, everybody was trying to push to, then that was their pressure point, because they could instantly see how many people were unsubscribing. It wasn't, I'm not going to buy a book next week. It wasn't, I'm going to stop playing my games. If you're in the middle of a campaign, don't stop. But the D&D Beyond subscriptions were something that was instantly noticeable and may have gotten their attention. And I was noticing on the Roll for Combat, people were saying that they were starting to cancel Magic subscriptions too. And boy, if people started canceling Magic subscriptions, that also would have really hurt. So money talks in all of these situations. Money talks, right? We talk about it, we get the information out about it. Endless conversation, the information that's needed, endless conversation isn't necessary in order to change minds. What matters is the money. Money talks. So once you find the pressure point with the money, then that's it. We are at 201. We are at 201 viewers. Thank you all for being here. So I will do the shot of tequila. That was fast. Do I have? Okay, I do have a shot glass sitting over here. So if you want to hang out or take another drink or whatever, actually, there might be enough for 2 shots in here. So if the community has some other goal, then I'll take the other shot. Where is the salt right here? I need salt. But so the pressure point is money. The pressure point is money on a lot of these different things. So it may have worked. That may have worked. And then Paizo stepped right up after Watsy rolled the 1. It seems like Paizo came by and rolled a 20. All right. Well, then here's to all of you then this time. So this is to all of you for being here and being a part of this. Thank you so much. There we go. All right, let's see what other people are saying. Black Flag. I'm excited to see about that. I'm excited to get more into Pathfinder. I'm excited to see what Mark Tassin is making. I'm excited to see what Kobold Press is making with Black Flag. Of course, we're making an RPG here on Tuesdays. I've been writing my own. That one's a small kind of thing in comparison. I mean, the big ones are like Black Flag and Cool Name RPG that are coming. And then I really am interested. I'm interested in learning a lot more about the Pathfinder RPG to also perhaps maybe write some stuff for it. Cornelius Vanderzen says, not familiar with the Pathfinder 2. Is it all compatible with third-party source material for 5e? No, I don't think it's compatible with 5e. But there is a lot of material out there for Pathfinder 2. Yeah, okay, I see people saying that in the chat. So it looks like I'm right about that. For the Horde. That's the first time I've seen that. Quabble says, for the Horde. John Willis says, the problem is if people don't own the books already, they have to give Hasbro money for those too, or pay way too much for the physical stuff. Yeah, right. Okay, so I'm behind, but yeah, that's really great too. I mean, Paizo has definitely leaned into the philosophy, right? Paizo has leaned into the philosophy of open gaming. At least it completely seems from this. Nola Inquisitor says, system agnostic is truly a four-dimensional chess move. It will allow any system to use the license and allow it to turn fans to develop for them. It doesn't even need to be Pathfinder. Right. So it looks like this license is one that can be applied to any type of system that you want to apply it to. And it seems like they're going to be applying it to Pathfinder 2nd Edition, in addition to all of that. So yeah, I think that is fantastic. I'm going to take this down. So here I am. So I don't think we need that announcement anymore. Well, and like I said, okay, so Delani Anderson says, what many don't understand, TSR Gygax and TSR Williams did the same thing as Hasbro's WotC. Right, there's a lot of history there, right? And like I said, I'm kind of surprised that I didn't see this coming. Because, all this history with Paizo, and somebody was putting, when I said, I put out that video that was based on that Twitter thread about who was going to be the Paizo of 5th edition. Some people said, well, what about just Pathfinder already? And I was still thinking when I was doing that video, I was thinking about carrying on the 5th edition rule set. I mean, if that's something people want and stuff like that, if that's something people were going to do. So that's the way that I was thinking about that. But some people in the chat were like, hey, 2nd edition, it's just good to go. So, and Paizo was waiting in the wings. I mean, they must have, people have said they would love to be a fly on the wall in WotC, and I would too, and know what was actually going on there. But I would also like to be a fly on the wall in Paizo and have seen, okay, this strategy section, hey, wait a minute. They just gave us another opening. Because the irony of this, so they saw it. They said, how can we be the heroes here? How can we be heroes, and how can we get this done? And so they did it. So we should have seen that. So Paizo, I would have loved to have been listening to what their board was saying. Like, how do we turn this to our advantage? WotC has screwed up again. They've given us another advantage, another opening. We're going to take it. We're going to swing for the fence. They rolled the nat 20. And then, everybody came flocking back, right? that it's like, oh my God, WotC was trying, and Hasbro, but it seems like I was hearing, I have no insider knowledge, but that, WotC executives are involved in this decision. And so, so WotC, I forget, WotC was the one who was trying to stop that from happening, deliberately stop something like Pathfinder from happening in competitions. And Pathfinder embraced the philosophy that Ryan Dancy had articulated. And so the irony of that WotC was trying to stop something like Pathfinder from happening, and all they did was drive people back into the arms of Paizo and Pathfinder. I mean, I feel a lot of goodwill toward Pathfinder and Paizo. Well, hence, I'm doing this live stream tonight and kind of having a party. But yeah, let me scroll down here and see what's going on. I'm not going to be able to get to every comment tonight. Please do hit the like button. People are calling that out for the chat. Thank you, everybody who's calling that out in the chat. Oh, Varanthi, thank you. Varanthi, thank you. Well, I'm glad to have you here. And everybody who's new here. I've only been really live streaming like daily for like just over 2 months. So I've been posting YouTube videos for a while, but the daily live streaming, especially single person live streaming, very new. So for the algorithm, orcs stand together, Tony Weird says. Well, Vision says there are open drafts out there of the orc, if I'm not mistaken. Well, there probably are drafts of it circulating, but we'll just wait to see what we get. Well, Sparte 19 says, does this mean we're looking at Pathfinder 3E or a 2.5 with ORC? I'm not sure. There was no announcement of a Pathfinder 3E. I kind of think that, it seems like the 2E system is pretty battle hard from what I understand and been hearing people talk about. The people really like the 2E system. So there was no simultaneous announcement of Pathfinder 3E, because it also seemed like they said that the reason that the OGL license is in the back of Pathfinder 2E is not because they wanted to be able to use Wizards of the Coast stuff or the SRD stuff, because they had basically excised all of that material from Pathfinder 2E anyway, if I understand correctly. And that they were saying in that announcement that the reason they were doing this is because they wanted other people to be able to use their stuff. So that was the license. Then use the open gaming license and do that. So I haven't seen anything about that we're heading toward Pathfinder 3. Everybody's about to get into 2E. It also seems like it would be kind of a silly thing to do. And they seem to know what they're doing over there at Paizo to be driving everybody to, hey, let's go to 2E, instead of while everybody's doing that, I don't think they would want to announce, hey, let's do 3E, because then they're like, well, I don't want to buy books if there's about to be a third edition. I think they want everybody like an edition. And for me, I heard a lot about Pathfinder first edition. But for some reason, second edition Pathfinder fell off my radar. I guess my social media feeds, whoever was playing, or whoever I was connected with, were not playing. I wasn't connected with Paizo on social media, so just through the grapevine, I hadn't heard anything about Pathfinder second edition. I heard almost nothing about it. Now that's just me personally. But now it's like, oh wait a minute, Pathfinder second edition. I got to get back to that. So I wonder if that's the same way with a lot of people. I mean, I know fifth edition did take a lot of the air out of the wings of Paizo and Pathfinder. So that might be something that's a bit more general. I know that second edition has its ardent fans, but now all of a sudden everybody's looking at it. So. Twitch chat is still up for Critical Role. Okay, all right. Oh, Critical Role. Oh, wait a minute. I saw a super chat go by. I'm coming to that. I'm scrolling down. Okay, so it's YouTube that got disabled. The Twitch chat is up. I was over there looking on the Twitch chat. Hey, water is great. Hey, I'll toast with you, drink with you again. Water is great. Took a big gulp of that. To Paizo. I've got water over here too. To ORC. Yeah, I'm rural Alabama. You're rural Georgia. I connect with a lot of people in the South here who are geeks, who are in the geekverse, who are in geekdom. I mean, there are a lot of us down here. Jack Daniels, single barrel. Good, Jack Daniels. Yes, Roll for Combat's here. Hey, let's toast Roll for Combat. We need to toast Roll for Combat. If you're not following Steven and Roll for Combat, you probably are. But if you're not, hey, those guys were heroes over there. They were the ones who posted about the Elite license or 1.1 first. That's where I got it from, and also where I got the information about the dissertation. Now, I wanted to get both of those into much more detail. So that's what I did over here on this channel. But man, yes, what a week. What a week. Here's to you, Roll for Combat, and everybody working with you. No, Daniel is right. Daniel says weather doesn't help the internet service here. He's close by me. We actually had severe weather and tornado warnings today. So I might have even lost power if there was something going on this afternoon. I could have easily lost power or internet. Yeah, it doesn't help. We've got bad weather here. But fortunately, I made it through without damage here. Delani Anderson says, I think Paizo was talking to their oracles and knew that Hasbro WotC was going to try this in the future. Somebody else had mentioned something to me in the comments about that like who might have seen this coming. And so they might have already had something in the works. I mean, they responded rather fast. I mean, that was a week, right? Is today Thursday? Yes, today's Thursday. So that's basically a week. But still, that's fast to move on that kind of organization stuff. So maybe, I have no idea, but maybe they had something also kind of in their back pocket. Yeah, I saw 242 people go by. So we actually had 242 people when I see. Say another shot. I'll tell you what about 300? If we get to 300, I don't know how long I'm going to go tonight. We're just having fun. We're having a party. I want to hang out. But if we get to 300, how about that? I'll take that last shot. Let's see. I'm still scrolling down here. So that's 300. I think that's a good number. Right, yeah. Paizo, Severin says, Paizo led the way with the 4E GSL fiasco, which we were documenting, or which had been documented in that dissertation, right? And so that was important too. Especially, I didn't realize, because I was not gaming. I didn't follow 4th edition, because I just wasn't gaming at the time with 4th edition. And so I didn't really know anything about it. So by the time I got back to role-playing after 3rd edition, because I played a lot of 3rd edition, by the time I got to 5th edition, we were back to the SRD and everything seemed to be proceeding as I kind of remembered it. But I didn't remember or know about, especially the idea that if you published under the GSL, I knew that 4th edition was not OGL, but I didn't know they had tried that if you published under the OGL, you can no longer, the GSL, you can no longer publish under the OGL. I did not know that. Yeah, Paizo's site is down. That's sad. So we can't run over there and buy books. They'll probably extend the sale. But if you have not been able to see the announcement, I read the announcement because I happened to have a PDF of it. And so that's earlier on the stream. Let's see here. Oh, Piano says, I got so depressed one day. I was begging for Paizo to say something on Twitter. I never stopped believing they'd do something because they took the lead in 4.0. And they did. They came through. Lunar Firefuck says, Heath's Geekverse looks like the community got a full party for this raid. Ha ha ha. Then Paizo just drops the bomb on the boss. Yeah, that was epic. That basically the whole Geekverse was watching Roll for Combat's watch party, expecting Watsy to say something. And then, everybody got to see Paizo instead. That was incredible. Oh, there were fears. There were fears a few days ago that Paizo negotiated a deal with Watsy. Yeah. Well, actually, I do remember people were saying that. They were like, who are they coming after? Are they coming after Paizo? Oh, no, maybe they won't. Maybe Paizo will cut a deal. And maybe they'll negotiate a deal to save their own bacon. But no, Paizo comes in with the steel chair of integrity. I like that. Yes. Now, Critical Role is the next big one, right? And Frozen Shepherd says Critical Role is probably under contract for the time being. Let's see. So we'll have to see what goes on with Critical Role. Here is the super chat. Thank you so much, Bobby Ellis. I'm glad I was able to find it. I didn't want to miss it. But thank you so much, Bobby Ellis, for $5 super chat. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much for being a part of the community here. He says, if you want less crunch than Pathfinder 2e, no hate, please check out Simba Room from Free League. Snappy yet tactical and deadly combat. Heavy focus on story. Well, hey, if you are new here, we cover a lot of different topics in the Geekverse, but we have been very RPG heavy over the past 2 months since I've started streaming, like daily. So we've been very RPG heavy, but I do tabletop games. I do war games. I love board games. And I love tabletop RPGs. So I do a variety of different things, but that also means we cover a variety of different RPGs because we've been studying. We've gone over about a different RPG every morning for about 2 months, for more than 2 months. So if you look at the Morning Grind live stream, and there's a playlist on the channel for the Morning Grind. If you're looking for new RPGs, we do that on the Morning Grind. We look at RPGs about that. And where did the books go? So it's funny that you bring up Simba Room, because we were looking at that. I got them sitting right over here. Free League has also been doing fantastic work. I am definitely a fan of Free League. And they have sent me stuff to review. So they did actually send me these Simba Room books to review. So this is from them free. And this is the 5th edition version of these. But we just got started checking out Simba Room. Yeah, Free League's just been crushing it. So I didn't know anything about this. But man, the art looked cool and stuff like that. And so we were basically starting to look at this. We want to look at this from a world building and design perspective as well, because we do world building Wednesdays on the morning grind. We look at different worlds. But this game, yeah, it's like a grim, dark setting as well. Now, there is also a Symbaroum RPG that has its own rules, and I didn't know that. So we're going to have to look at that as well. This is the 5e version, but there is one with its own rules as well, so we'll look at that. But also, we all tended to think this was a really cool world. You know, we've been looking, we liked the world of Ataltis. We looked at Lou Anders' Thrones and Bones, but then we also started looking at Symbaroum, and I'm kind of excited about this one from the setting perspective. So, yeah, I mean, there's so much out there. Let's see. What's up? What are other people saying here? You guys give me energy. I always say that. When I come online, I was like, oh, do I go online tonight? But then when I get online, I was like, I know if I go live, I'm going to start getting energy here, because when you guys are here and talking in the chat, I get energy, and I hope you get energy as well. Yeah, Jacob Hart says, as far as I'm aware, they're replacing the OGL with ORC at the end of the 2nd edition book and not changing anything else. That's what it sounded like to me as well. Jesse, Delta Green. I have a little bit of Delta Green stuff over here. We have not looked at Delta Green on the morning grind yet, but I need to get its core book so that we can. And the Delta Green used to be headquartered down here near me, and we would go out, and the Delta Green people and I, and the Infinite Black people, I was with Infinite Black at the time. I was the co-founder of Infinite Black. So Infinite Black and Delta Green were here. Now Delta Green has now moved up to Canada, but we got to hang out some. And when I was like hosting, I would try to get people together for like a hangout for the RPG people down here in Birmingham, Alabama. And so that was fun. Whiskey Neat says that I'm drinking. What do you expect? Well, I suppose if you Whiskey Neat, yes, that's exactly what we'd be expecting. So that's great. Yeah, it's probably too soon for a 2nd edition anyway, or 3rd edition anyway. I mean, they went through the extensive playtest phase, right? Because I even had, well, what is this right here that I've got on my shelf? Oh, yeah. So, I mean, they went to a lot of trouble, I remember, to put out the Pathfinder playtest books. And so that went on for a while. And then they put out the real rule book. And I don't really even remember getting into the playtest. But, I mean, that was a huge effort. When you look at their playtest book, I mean, that's the playtest book. And then all of this, I mean, beautiful, layout and everything like that. They spared no expense with the playtest core book. So yeah, I can also believe that they're not in a hurry to race into 3rd edition. Oh yeah, here in Georgia, that means the weather's probably headed to you, so be safe. Let's see. Brendan Grieve says, it's a somber day, thankfully with some joy to be had. We witnessed the beginning of a new era, the death of D&D as we know it, and the rise of a new hero. Long live Paizo. Yeah, to sort of go back to where I was, because I remember when I was posting videos and I was thinking about this, and I said, it seems this is before the Brian Dancy interview and before I knew about the dissertation, but I was like, how is it possible? Like this was just the smell test that I had when I was looking at these different things. Like when this idea, this specter came up as the result of the leak, that there might be something wrong with the OGL, right? Either intentionally wrong, either intentionally or unintentionally. Either unintentionally because there was some type of draft that was, or some type of mistake that was not caught in a draft by, legal teams, and not only the WotC legal teams, but every other legal team for every IP and every other company that has been established, Paizo included, over all the last 20 years. So if there was a mistake, no one caught it. If there was some flaw because of a mistake, no one caught it. Or that Wizards of the Coast had deliberately planted something in the OGL to make this possible that also nobody noticed. And so when that was coming up, I was like, how is that possible? It didn't mean it was impossible. That was my thinking then. It wasn't necessarily impossible, but I was going, that seems highly improbable. How would it be possible that nobody noticed that over 20 years, some kind of flaw in it? And so I was going, it seems improbable that that's the case. It seemed improbable. And I was very glad that upon being able to, I didn't get to talk with Ryan Dancy, but Roll for Combat did. And hearing him talk, it was delightful to be able to hear him talk, right? And then, that was a fantastic interview. And then when you got the dissertation by Bob Tarantino, who's going to be interviewed by Roll for Combat tomorrow. And Roll for Combat, you told me that you're interviewing Bob tomorrow, but when you put that in the chat, I didn't really realize that I didn't connect Bob with Roberto Tarantino. So now it was like, oh, that's obvious. That's who Bob is. But I didn't know him by Bob. So I was like, oh, you're interviewing Bob. Okay. But that's who that is. There's an interview with that tomorrow. But hearing from Ryan and then hearing or reading the dissertation, I was like, okay, it seems like that the OGL was intended to be what we all thought it was. I came to that conclusion after that analysis and hearing him talk. And not only was it intended to be what we all thought it was, but that it actually is what we all think it was. Both of those things. And I was very happy about that. Like, I came to that conclusion. So obviously Paizo also came to that conclusion. Now Paizo's got legal teams and all of that. So but we were able to come to that conclusion by the study of the material. And it's so fun because, if you consider any of this fun, that this OGL, what is the OGL? Well, it's been this weird kind of esoteric thing that's in the back page of all of our books, right? And now all of a sudden, oh my God, could this go away? It's what all of our tabletop gaming, not all of it, but such a large chunk of our tabletop RPG gaming is built on. The idea that it could go away and what that would mean. And fortunately, it seems like it can. And it's true that it can, as far as I'm concerned. Matt Bell talking about the reaction. Yes, I like that, Matthew Bell. We were talking about the reaction of Paizo. Right. Yeah. Faster than WotC reacted. LOL. That's really true because, WotC wasn't even able to formulate a statement, a PR statement. Actually, that's a fantastic point, Matthew, that Paizo put together this entire conglomeration of publishers and was talking. I'm sure there was all kinds of stuff going on behind the scenes, discussion and things like that with the legal team and the lawyer and drafting all of this, and got together all of that coordinated activity to announce ORC today before WotC could even publish anything related to PR. The only thing they were able to do, as far as I know, was that one bizarre tweet from the D&D Beyond account that was like, hey, we know you have questions about what's going on. We'll put out something out soon. And I believe that was like 2 days ago. And I was like, well, how soon is soon? That was what, I quote tweeted it or something like that. How soon is soon? Well, soon wasn't soon enough to handle and head off Paizo. Sure wasn't. Oh, we have more compliments for Roll for Combat here. Jay Karamini says, Roll for Combat has more integrity in their reporting than actual reporters. I was surprised, and I have to say it was refreshing. Yeah, I really enjoyed watching all of Roll for Combat stream as well. The Paizo site is still being slammed. I'm sure it is. Let's see. Brendan also says, this was a brilliant stroke from Paizo, both socially, morally, and financially. I hope they make boatloads of money. They deserve it. Yep. Matthew Bell says, can I put the PDF up again? So the PDF is in the Wind Down channel of the Ravenkeep Discord, but let me just post the Ravenkeep Discord link again so that you'll be able to get into the Discord. I haven't completely decided if I'm making this public. People have asked, well, now why do I have to keep posting it? Well, I haven't made a permanent link for the Ravenkeep Discord server yet, because I've kind of been using it for, if you're here on the live streams, then you can find the link and then you can get into the Ravenkeep Discord server and be part of it. In the future, we may turn it completely public, but if you're not, it's the PDF is sitting there in the Wind Down channel on the Ravenkeep Discord server. So, okay, so still planning to see the movie. Been waiting for a big budget D&D movie for 35 years. We could talk about the relationship to the movie here. The movie's coming, and there was this one just blog. I guess it was announced from some company, but the TV show, right? There's supposed to be some kind of TV show, and you got to think all this is connected in some way. The big mass marketing, the mass market of D&D, and this is, I'm not the first person to think about this. Roll for Combat says, hey, I'll just come back to a million messages. Yeah, I'm sure. But, you know, you do have, I've said before, so this is not new, and also Roll for Combat has said this, but I was like, we do have to be careful what we wish for, because I know that, like, when I was playing AD&D or, you know, second edition AD&D or third edition, that I was said, you know, wouldn't it be great if this were popular? What would happen if this were popular? Even Star Wars. I mean, at that time, I mean, Star Wars was obviously hugely popular, but it was not mass market. But something like Dungeons and Dragons, it's kind of weird to think of Dungeons and Dragons being a mass market thing. And yeah, but you know, I talk about corporate geekdom a lot and how I'm kind of anti-corporate geekdom and what corporate geekdom is. But it seems like Wizards of the Coast, owned by Hasbro, has demonstrated demonstrated corporate geekdom. And I kind of like the underground of geekdom. I like the geekdom underground, right? So even though we might have been sitting around and going, hey, I really wish that Dungeons and Dragons was mainstream when we were playing second edition or third edition or something like that. Well, there's a huge cost to that. There's a huge cost to that. Do you really want Wall Street to be looking at Dungeons and Dragons? Well, it is now. It has been. So now this is, that's a thing. And we deal with the corporate geekdom element instead of the underground geekdom element of Dungeons and Dragons. Same with Star Wars, right? Star Wars is definitely now corporate geekdom. It's something that's definitely mass market, mass culture that comes with great advantages. It also comes with disadvantages. Oh, Ghost Tav says, what's the story with those rabbits in the back? They look cool. Well, thank you. That's actually something I'm working on. It's one of the things that we're doing on this channel, and one of the reasons I started live streaming is I'm developing 2 different worlds on the channel, and one of them is the Tales of Rabavania. Oh, on the wind down, we'll get to that in a moment. But one of them is the Tales of Rabavania. So the rabbits that you see right here, the Tales of Rabavania is a world I've been writing stories for and wanted to do ever since I was in 6th grade. I believe I started writing in 6th grade. I've got handwritten Rabavania notes. Well, the time has finally come to actually create that world. It's one of 2 that we're working on here on the channel. But I've been working on different prototypes for products for the Tales of Rabavania. So the big rabbits that you probably see are plush toys. These are prototypes from a manufacturer. So I got action figures around here. Let me take these down. But these are prototypes of plush toys for our Rabbit Knights. This is Sir Bors. Where is my red clad? Oh, here is Sir Merrick right here. This is Sir Merrick. This is Sir Jason right here. This is Pate. He's a page. He just became a page. He wants to be a knight one day. And then this is Charity, one of the deals of the Blood Royal. So these are all manufacturers' prototypes. They are ready to put into production. So that's one of the product lines in addition to an RPG. That's why I'm writing an RPG for the Tales of Rabavania. So that's what those are. And then over here, these are the prototypes of action figures. So they're also action figures over here. And I've been working for about 21 months on action figures. And so this is my 3D printed, hand-painted prototype of Sir Merrick. And I've got several of those. And then also, not only do I have Rabbit Knights, but who do the rabbits fight? The rabbits fight the barbarian raccoons. So I've got barbarian raccoons as well. Action figures are not easy. So there'll be RPGs, plush toys, and action figures. The action figures are not easy. I've been working with manufacturers for 21 months to try to get all of those done, or get them to the point where I do have a manufacturer's prototype that's articulated, and I've got more stuff on the channel about those. The other world is about the fall of Satan, about the fall of Lucifer. So that's what all that's about. All right, what else is going on? Thank you for asking. EF says, can you imagine if Critical Role switches back to Pathfinder? I would want to know. I didn't know because I have not been following Critical Role. I've tried to watch it a few times, but I'm not deep into Critical Role. I've got a lot of friends who are, but I just personally am not. And I didn't know that they actually had Pathfinder to begin with, or ran Pathfinder to begin with. I didn't know that. That's very interesting. So I don't know. So what is Critical Role going to do? If they mention something on the screen, let us know. Oh, Kelly Ryan Lake says, took 3 hours, but I was finally able to get through to the Paizo website without crashing it to place an order. So maybe you can get through now, or maybe not. Maybe that was very lucky on Ryan's part, on Kelly Ryan Lake's part. I'm sure they're working on that really hard. I'm sure that's really something that they're working on a lot. I'm going through the comments here. I'm not sure what they lost a ton of money on as far as Roll for Combat goes. Well, we got another vote for Pathfinder 2e. I was listening to that. That Pathfinder 2e is superbly balanced. Now, okay, so Pathfinder 2e is less crunchy than Pathfinder 1, but more crunchy than 5e. It definitely seemed crunchier than 5e when I was going through it, which I mean, I like. I like both styles of gaming. I can like very crunchy simulationist styles of gaming. I really do enjoy that. I also do enjoy more narrative styles of gaming. And that's why the RPG we've been kind of working on the channel is more narrative, because I'm kind of drifting in that direction for my general gaming strategy today. But or the kind of interest that I'm doing right now. But I really like both. I play in both sides. I like GURPS. I played GURPS for a while, and that was an early game system that I played, and I still really like GURPS. I think GURPS about GURPS a lot. But that's it's a very crunchy system. So I like both. I found that it's difficult to kind of combine them, to play both at the same time. As far as, is this a narrative system or is this a really crunchy system? That's why I'm kind of having to, I kind of adjust my, I put it in one category or another. I'm looking for this kind of gaming, or I'm looking for this kind of gaming. But I enjoy both. My lips are drying out. Oh, I got water over here. I'll take some water too. Brendan says, WotC will try to walk back the new OGL somehow. I'm predicting it. However, the damage is already done. A tremendous amount of damage. Had been done by Monday. A tremendous amount of damage had been done by yesterday. By the time we had, so it wasn't, God, it feels like forever. But so yesterday was the Ryan Dancy interview. A tremendous amount of damage had been done Monday. A tremendous amount of damage had really been done by yesterday, because we had the dissertation and we had Ryan Dancy. Then an astronomical amount of damage has been done by today with Paizo's announcement. It seems to me. Let's see. I forget what that was in reference to, but thank you. I'm glad I did. Well, Narinian says, main issue with most systems is the lack of community. Like Fantasy Craft seems delightfully crunchy, but since it never caught on, there is extra community stuff. No rules discussion for that matter. Yeah, I mean, we've been looking at like a different role-playing game basically every day for the past more than 2 months. and been looking at all. Basically, we've been trying to examine their core mechanic for how to play. Because there are other things you could look at too, like how to create a character or how they deal with encumbrance or combat. We've been trying to figure out what is this RPG and how do you play it. But so you can find some real gems. You can find some incredible stuff out there. We live in a golden age of RPGs. If, as some people have thought, that the OGL was a way to try to drive off other systems, that at least does not seem like it worked, because we got more than ever now. I mean, we live in a golden age of that, but finding out what they are and then learning them and then getting connected with some other people who will play with you, that's the issue. I wonder when the pressure will become unbearable. Brian Ferguson says, until Critical Role makes an official statement on what they're doing, I will wait to see what I do for my Critical Role support. I wonder how long it will take them. We will see. PDF. We got that. You know, I'm probably not going to go see the movie, but that's also because I'm here in the rural area, and it takes a lot for me to get out to a movie theater right now anyway. So it takes a lot. The movie has to be really good in order to get me to go up to the movie theater. I hate that because I used to go to the movies like once a week, which I really enjoyed. And if I were doing that, I probably still would go and see it. I think, maybe. But at least I'd be much more inclined to. But here, I don't think that being here, I don't think I'm necessarily going to put that one on my list. I had come up with, I thought that before I knew that movie was coming out, I said there should not be a D&D movie. And by that, I meant D&D branded. But apparently that's what they're leaning into. It's because I was saying that there shouldn't have been a D&D movie, because Dungeons & Dragons seems to end up being very generic, like a generic fantasy. And that seems to be a death knell for many fantasy stories, movies, or TV shows. That for some reason we get a lot of generic fantasy, and I felt that before. We had the D&D movie with Jeremy Irons. You can end up with some really generic stuff. And I said, I still wonder how much loyalty to the D&D brand there is. Now, I've been told that I'm living in a bubble, and that for the mass market, it's all about D&D. Where that may not be the case for us, because we're kind of down in the trenches, and I don't know how much loyalty I feel to D&D, even though I've played a lot of D&D, and I have enjoyed D&D and had a lot of fun with it. But I still, if I've got other systems that do what I'm trying to do better, and we're playing and want to try something else new, maybe we just play other systems. It's more about tabletop role-playing games than it is about Dungeons & Dragons, I think, for me, even though, like I said, Dungeons & Dragons has obviously been a huge part of that. But part of the tabletop role-playing game experience that I have experienced. But I would have said, listen, don't try to make a D&D movie. Let's do Forgotten Realms. Let's launch a Forgotten Realms franchise. Then we can also launch a Dragonlance franchise. And we can also launch, a Greyhawk franchise if we wanted to, or something. All right, hey, do some spell jamming too. That would, and then launch those as movie franchises. You've got more of them. Maybe put Dungeons and Dragons small, but then Forgotten Realms or something like that, and launch those stories and do those worlds very well. I said that the worst way you could do a Dungeons and Dragons movie, in my opinion, was to say, I did not want to see a Dungeons and Dragons movie that starts with people sitting around a table and then they all get sucked into the book. When I was like, the YouTube video I said there should not be a Dungeons and Dragons movie. I break all that down and why that's a terrible plot structure and how you can make it even worse. I do not want to see kids around a table playing D&D and then all of a sudden get sucked into the fantasy world and have to solve some problem, like get the Dungeon Master's book back, which is actually a magic spell book in the fantasy world, to try to get back to their kitchen table. I thought that's a disaster way to go. But you could definitely see somebody in some boardroom who doesn't understand saying that's what people want. They want a game about playing this game and all of a sudden they get sucked into the world. No, I don't. I absolutely do not want that. That would be a disaster. So then I found out there was actually going to be a D&D. And then the trailer came out, and I went to watch the trailer, and I was like, okay, so what did they do? And I said, oh, well, they came up with a different way to kind of do something. In my opinion, my first thought was that, okay, a little bit wrong. I wouldn't have known. Apparently, it is set in Forgotten Realms, but I never would have noticed that it was set in Forgotten Realms. Maybe some people are much more into the lore would notice that. Something about that movie that says, hey, this is the Forgotten Realms. But okay, that was kind of a miss there. But someone in the comments said that what they were trying to do, it looked like to them, the person in the comments, it may have been Rhino Watcher. who was saying they're trying to make Marvel. They're trying to make Dungeons and Dragons into Marvel. And then when I went back and I watched that trailer, I said, oh, thinking about it in terms of that makes sense. That trailer looks kind of like a Marvel movie. So somebody went, what's popular and what's working right now? Or at least has worked? Marvel. What do we want Dungeons and Dragons to be? That brand to be Marvel. Let's do Dungeons and Dragons movie as if Marvel. That seemed to be, and then when I watched that trailer, that could be a good idea. That could have been right. That they, I believe it was Ryan I watched. Could have been somebody else. Might have clued into that in that way. Could have been Interlight. I forget. But at any rate, may have clued into that. And now with the idea of the TV show and with the idea of what they're potentially doing with mass market, trying to get everybody onto D&D Beyond or something like that, that may have been the idea. That D&D needs to be the brand like Marvel. Not the way I would have recommended it. But then again, maybe I'm living in a fantasy bubble. Let's go. How many likes do we have on YouTube? I'm just curious to know. Somebody let me know, because I would just be interested to know. We got 232 people watching, so please do hit the like and subscribe. That would be fantastic. Stray has got a direct link. Thank you, Stray. Thank you so much. Oh, is that okay? So thank you, Stray. I kind of wondered about, when all this debacle was going on, Thud Thief says, I still play good old AD&D mostly, but still dabble in 3rd edition from time to time. Never played 5e and don't expect that I will. When all this was going on a few nights ago, I did start to go back through my AD&D stuff, because I've got that sitting back here on the shelf too. Some of it. I lost a bunch of it in what I call the purge, but I bought a fair amount of it back. But, the AD&D stuff, I'm not chucking or anything like that. I mean, you've got to, I think that separating what's going on now from the history of other books that you really enjoyed and things like that, and still have maybe useful stuff. I'm not sure if I would go back and play an AD&D game. I might, if somebody wanted to play a one shot or something like that in AD&D, I might try it. I might even try it. I was thinking about other modules that we used to run in AD&D, and I was actually thinking, I should go and get those modules for AD&D. And maybe run them using a different system. But I remember there being some really fun modules that I have a lot of memory of as a kid. Not as a kid, but I mean as a teenager and young adult. That it would be fun to play again with people who had never played and kind of bring that back. So Jay has the opposite opinion. I'll be boycotting the movie even though I was really excited for it. I will support the Baldur's Gate 3 game, though, as Florian simply licenses it and shouldn't burn Hasbro 3D actions. I don't know anything about the new Baldur's Gate 3 game. I am inclined to not see the movie. I was inclined to not see the movie to begin with. I didn't have a D&D Beyond subscription to cancel, and I was already inclined to not see the movie personally. So they might not have had money for either. Well, they didn't have money for D&D Beyond, and they were unlikely to have money for me in the movie anyway. So, I think this is about the rabbits. Oh, thank you. I'm really excited about them too. This is a life's work. That's why what I'm trying to do, and I'm like, now is the time for these two worlds, the Tales of Rabavania. I started with Tales of Rabavania first, but Theophany tells the story of the fall of Lucifer. Those two worlds I've been trying to do. Rabavania since I was in 6th grade. Theophany since I was about in 10th grade. And I was like, now is the time to do it. Now is the time to do it. Priestess Lucy says, whatever you do not put bunny people on the same continent as humans. Nope, no humans. No, don't worry about that. There are no humans. Not going to happen. Yeah, if you join the Discord server, there's a place for discussion about Theophany and the Tales of Rabavania. And also there's the World Anvil world that we're doing. The World Anvil world's sites. We're going to be putting stuff up on World Anvil, and there's also going to be a feed of them. Barbarian raccoons. So you can see as the World Anvil stuff is updated in the Discord server. We're getting going on that. We're getting going on all that. Everybody the raccoons are great. Yeah, everybody loves the barbarian raccoons. The rabbit knights are the first action figures up. We're still trying to get those right. Then we'll go to the barbarian raccoons. Although everybody loves those. Paizo's website is intermediately working. On my channel, yeah, I've moved everything back to this channel. Oh, Pan Smith says, "Wow, Heath, you're pretty industrious. Quite an imagination." Thank you. Well, there's a lot that I'm trying to do over here. I'm working all the time at it. But there's a lot. It takes a lot. It takes a lot to get all this stuff done. The Paizo website, it's probably up and down. We're probably still crushing it. Well, okay, that's interesting. So Vision says Dungeon Dudes put out a video saying they're going to look more into Pathfinder. I was wondering what they were going to do. I watch, of course, they're very, very D&D heavy, which means I haven't watched as many of their videos because I played 5th edition. I played 5th edition with Lou. We played Midgard. I played the Midgard campaign setting with Lou and his Thrones and Bones setting. I believe we were also in Forgotten Realms. We played Midgard, the Kobold Press world, which is fantastic. But I didn't really feel the need to go and watch a whole bunch of Dungeons and Dragons videos specifically. And I know that they produce fantastic videos and are extremely popular and do the live play and all of that. But I hadn't watched a tremendous amount of their stuff. But I was wondering what they were going to do, like how they would change, because they're not D&D branded. They're the Dungeon Dudes, so you can do dungeons and have fun. But obviously. So I was wondering what they were going to do. So that's interesting. GURPS, yeah. So Jacob says, I think there are only 2 reasons that Critical Role is silent. They're under contract and can't say anything. That's probably, it would seem likely to me. I can't say anything for certain, right? I don't have any kind of inside knowledge. I like talking probabilities. It's nice to talk in probabilities. Or they're waiting for things to be more official before making an official statement. Either of those could be true. Piano says they were not going to walk back today, but now he thinks they will. After what happened with Paizo, do they have a choice? Do they have a choice? Robert Reed. Hey, Robert. Good to see you. Classy move, Paizo. Golf clap. Well done. I wonder what's going to happen with... I wonder what's... I forget. But Piano says, Monday is Martin Luther King Jr. Day. I forgot about that. That's another 4 days where WotC most likely isn't going to say anything. Yeah, can they say anything tomorrow? If, we don't know. But if they were going to put out something today that was, like the 1.1 or make that kind of announcement or something like that, and then retracted it and said, no, we're not, and pulled that back, can they regroup for tomorrow to say something else? Maybe not, because it was supposed to be this afternoon. At least according to Roll for Combat, they were going to go live this afternoon, or live, or put out the video, or whatever it was. Well, if that happened, and they were ready for that, and then sort of the last minute said no, they may not be able to organize for some other response tomorrow. It may be Tuesday. You're right. It could be. Or Tuesday or later, right? Because if they're not in the office, Saturday, Sunday, or Monday. Yeah, you're right. It just means it could drag on. I didn't think about that. That's true too. I don't know if they broadcast live or they pre-record. I don't know. But so this is possible because, like I said, I don't follow Critical Role. But NC says Critical Role may have pre-recorded this episode before it all hit the fan. They have been silent so far. However, Brian W. Foster has suddenly made his thoughts known on Twitter. That's interesting. Yeah, I don't know. They might pre-record. So they probably don't respond to things like in the chat, right? Like they're it's like as far as what's going on. I don't know. I don't watch it. Not that there's anything, it just hasn't been my thing. I haven't been able to get into it. Well, there is one. Yes. In a few months, right? It's supposed to be a few months. T. Writing says you should set up a foot pedal for your smoke machine. That's a good idea. I wonder if one could be connected to it. Yeah, see, Dragonlance could be awesome. It could be. We need more. We could use some more Dragonlance. That one seems like a good one. Good one. Okay, now Piano TM has a way to do Dungeons and Dragons around the table. I will say it again. I want a D&D movie with Muppets sitting around the table and celebrities being their characters in the fantasy world. I would even just take the Muppets playing D&D, or playing a tabletop RPG and having the one celebrity actor or something like that. Yeah, Felix Ander says, "Sup, orc party. It is an orc party." Do we have any big topics to talk about? Is there any other big topic we should talk about? Only 32 likes. Only 32 likes. We got 100. We got 185 people watching. Like 32 likes. If you're here and you're enjoying it, please do hit the like button. Epitome of Shyness says, "I'm so excited for what Paizo is doing. Not even specifically for Paizo, but what it means for the entire tabletop TRPG community." Is that supposed to be tabletop RPG community? And systems that we could see developed. Oh, we have 200 likes. Okay, so yeah, you might have to refresh. Excellent. Well, that is awesome. 180 up to 280 up to 200 or 200 incoming. Thank you all for being here. This is fantastic. I really appreciate your support of what's going on here, and of course our mutual support of Paizo now. Oh, Pan Smith asks, "What caused me to go through the purge?" Well, it's sad that I was after I had graduated. I didn't play a lot when I was in graduate school, and then after I was out of graduate school, and now it was time to go on and get a professional job at the university. I didn't have a whole lot of space to move anyway. Like, I was just moving around in a truck. I didn't have a whole lot of space for stuff anyway, and so I was like, well, I guess I'm never going to be gaming again. I guess I'm out of school now, and I'm a academic professional now. I was moving into, I think, purge kind of happened when I was, basically about to move into an assistant clinical professor position. And I was like, well, I guess now that I'm clinical assistant professor, I won't ever be playing board games again, or tabletop games again, or RPGs again. And I didn't have a lot of room to move, so I got rid of a bunch of books. And I wish I hadn't. I really wish I hadn't, because now I've come back to tabletop games. That's what I like, tabletop games. So I've come back. I've left academia and come back. So I decided to rebuy some of my collection, not all of it. But yeah, I mean, that's sad. That we associate like growing up, becoming a professional, with leaving the things that we like. Now you have to grow up. That's essential. You have to grow up. But does that necessarily mean you have to leave behind the things that you enjoy? No, I enjoy tabletop gaming. Why would I have to leave that behind just because I'm out of school and moving on? Shouldn't have had to do that. We have an order for the Pathfinder beginner box. Parent IT says, "I ordered my Pathfinder beginner box as soon as the store came back online. I plan to run the beginner campaign for my wife and daughters." Family gaming. We played Hero Quest. Anybody here play Hero Quest? Hero Quest was our family game. We played Hero Quest, and when we played Hero Quest, the entire family, extended family, would come over. Aunts and uncles, and then my mother would be Zargon, and then my brother and I would play as well. We would have 7 people. We'd have 7 people for Hero Quest. They were all extended family. My mother being Zargon, you'd have to have 6 heroes. Have to beef up the monsters. We got another call for a shot. I'm drinking wine. So I'm not doing a shot. It doesn't look like we're going to make 300. But I'm still drinking wine. Thank you, Jesse. Thank you. Yeah, right. And they're not, right? So Machina Antima says, "I was actually hyped about modern D&D more or move until I found out that they're the movie. I think that's supposed to be a movie. Until I found out they're going with some no names instead of unleashing their heavy hitters like Dritz and Elminster." Right. See, that's what I would have said when I was talking about, well, hey, let's do Forgotten Realms. Let's actually start a franchise around Forgotten Realms. That way we can also have other franchises. Maybe Dungeons and Dragons, because the executives may want that. So it's there. But let's make this Forgotten Realms and then do what you're talking about. Dritz and Elminster, and that's what I would want to, that's what I want to watch. That's what I would write. Yeah. Yeah. Wisto PR says, "What wine are you sipping on?" I was saying that it's nothing special. This is just what I had, so I decided to pull it out. This is just Yellowtail Cabernet Sauvignon. So nothing particularly special, but I like Cabernet, so it works. Do you believe that 5e is going to go back on their word? I mean, I have no insider knowledge, but if it were true, there was going to be an announcement today and they decided to pull, that gives me more hope. Like, we're talking probabilities. I think a higher probability level that something might change. It may be too late. Oh, Daniel Murphy says, Daniel was with us on Dinner and a Board Game. One of my shows is Dinner and a Board Game. So that's here on the channel too, where we cook dinner, because we were trying to fight just having pizza when we were doing board games. So we were cooking dinner in the kitchen. My cousin Megan came over and we would cook dinner in the kitchen and then go play a board game. And Daniel was on the show with us. That's on the channel. I wonder if there are any other whales in the industry, Games Workshop, are taking notes. They've been hyper monetizing their IP for years and are due for collapse. Yeah, I haven't been part of what Games Workshop is doing for a long time. I played a lot of Warhammer Fantasy Battles with my brother, but stopped basically after high school. Stopped playing Warhammer Fantasy Battles, and then they got rid of Warhammer Fantasy Battles, and I never got into 40K. But I haven't really felt the need to get back to Games Workshop. I bought like one of their boxes or something with some miniatures in it. They were so ridiculously complicated and detailed, I didn't even finish putting them together, much less paint them. Which is good. You know, that's a perfectly good. The miniatures, the detailed miniatures, that kind of stuff is perfectly good if you are trying to do doing that kind of thing as a hobby, right? And you're trying to do some insanely great paint jobs and some highly detailed miniatures. What people do with that is just incredible. But if you're just looking for some miniatures to put together and enjoy for to play with, but then also kind of put them together and kind of paint while you're watching a movie, God, the Games Workshop stuff is not currently what it is. But yes, they are definitely very big on the hyper monetization of the IP. Well, they don't make any statement. On the other hand, like I was talking about the social pressure. People are wondering if you can drag something out in court for a long time. And maybe, I mean, legally, maybe. But it seems like in the day of social media, can you do that? Like, how long can Critical Role go without any indication? Unless there's the contracts and things like that. But just in general, even if there are contracts, they're like, you can't say anything for the next 2 weeks. Like, can they endure that? Severin says, generally, if you want a story to die, you release it a late Friday announcement, especially during a holiday. So if you think it's going to be a bad announcement, they might hold it until tomorrow. Yeah, that's another possible idea. You know, that maybe they are going to release something, a bad announcement. Now they still have to take into account the Paizo announcement. If they were going to announce at like 2 and Paizo announced at 5 and they pulled their 2 o'clock, they're going to have to consider now what Paizo did in any announcement tomorrow. But that could be turn it off. You know, we're pulling back. We're gonna put this out tomorrow, Friday before a holiday. But then all of a sudden, Paizo comes in and steals your thunder. Could be. Let's see. Oh, I have 199 likes. Thank you, everybody. Oh, 200. We just hit 200 likes. Thank you, everyone. I keep track of that. So I believe that's a record on likes as well. That's a record on likes. Is that Tequila worthy? 200 likes? What do I think about this revolution? Sub-Zero 911 says, what do I think about this revolution? Are you talking about the revolution back to Paizo? Are you talking about the Paizo revolution, the orc revolution? If that's what you're talking about, we should have seen it coming. I should have seen it coming. But I'm excited about it. I was really excited as I was sitting here editing videos and stuff like that. I was really excited when I was watching, the Roll for Combat stream, and that announcement came out, and they were reading over it and what it said and stuff like that. I was really excited in a way that I haven't been in a long time. That's why I decided I had to go live to have a glass of wine and celebrate with everybody. Because I was not playing role-playing games. That's when I was at the university. So I was not in the gaming sphere when 4th edition came out and Pathfinder started. So I missed that section. So I was not like personally involved in that. I can understand why maybe when Pathfinder was announced, the original Pathfinder, there was a lot of excitement. I can understand why. I mean, I guess there was. Like I said, I wasn't there, but I can understand why. And I was wondering if we were catching more of that here. I was wondering if I was catching that again. Now we got, even more immediate. Well, I guess there was immediate internet access there, but the live streaming, the watch parties, everything like that. It seemed like it was it seems like it's a big thing. It seems like it's a big thing. So I really applaud them. And hey, it makes me want to look at Pathfinder 2nd edition more. I'm even excited about looking at it and trying to run a game and finding out what it's all about. So I think it's a really fun time, and I think this adds, since this is happening, and a lot of people are suddenly looking at 2nd edition Pathfinder in a way they haven't before, including myself. It means that maybe now is a time for new creative people to take advantage of this all of a sudden shift in this direction. Now, there are already people who are making a bunch of stuff for 2nd edition Pathfinder. So those people are already there, and they are in a prime position to be able to, take advantage of this situation. But also, all of a sudden, people are going to be looking for a lot more new Pathfinder stuff, too. So I was like, maybe that's why we're going to be looking at Pathfinder on the morning grind tomorrow, because I want to look at it. Maybe I should be writing some of the worlds. Maybe there should be a Tales of Rabavania Pathfinder book. Like I was writing the book up, like the information for a short, like primer to the world, for instance. And I want to do the same thing for the Fall of Lucifer world, like as a short primer. And like, what rules do I put in it? Well, I do want to make my own rules because I've wanted to make an RPG for like my whole life. So I'm going to do that. But on the other hand, doesn't mean I can't make rules, put rules in it, or do other books with rules for other systems. And so I was getting really excited about Pathfinder. I was like, well, maybe I should look at this, find out how to run the system, to play it, but then also how to write for it, because maybe I need to put out some books for it. So I wasn't feeling that kind of energy about 5th edition. I played 5th edition. I enjoyed 5th edition. For me, it's more about the group of people you're gaming with, and then also the quality of your game master and the story that they're running before what particular system you're running. For me, personally. Now, I know some people are like, I refuse to play X system because of the way it does Y. I know those people, exist. But I've never been one of those people, because I'm like, if I've got a group of people who are really fun that I want to game with, and they want to play this system, even if I'm not a huge fan of it, or if I've never played it, or even if I'm not a fan of it for some reason, I'm still going to play, because I want to hang out with this group of people. Or especially if I've got a game master, who's like, I've been preparing this really cool adventure, I want to run it for everybody, I'm going to use this system. Even if, like I said, if it's not a system I'm particularly interested in, I'm still going to play because I know the game master is awesome. He's got this amazing story he wants to tell, and it's going to run us through this adventure and stuff like that. So to me, system is probably about third on that. People and game master and story are above that. I played 5th edition, all that to say. So I was playing 5th edition because I was playing it with a great group of people, and I was enjoying it. I didn't have anything. Well, I mean, there are things I don't like about 5th edition, but the people were great. The game master was great. All the preparation. Lou went all in for, preparing for his game, for his 5th edition D&D games. And so I was enjoying it, but I didn't really feel the need to write for 5th edition. I was like, well, maybe I should put out 5th edition material, before all this got started. Well, maybe I should consider writing some 5th edition material. But now I'm excited about writing potentially Pathfinder. We will see. What else is going on? I need to catch up. I'm going to scroll by. I wish I could get to everybody, but I can't. Oh, Cal. Hey, Cal. Good to see you. I'm drinking a fine Merlot, a rare occurrence. Robert, new subscriber? Nice to meet you. Thank you very much. Very nice to see you. Well, GCW brings up the possibility that maybe there was some copyright issues around Dritz and Elminster since they were more licensed stories. Maybe that's a good. That's possible. I don't know, but that's possible. That licensing with these kinds of things can all of a sudden really complex when you're trying to make something like a movie happen. Now, Jeff, now I'm wondering about that too. I have no idea about the digital presence. That's one thing I wanted to look into because I played with D&D Beyond. I wasn't subscribed to it, but I played in games where both no technology is allowed at the table. The technology is just forbidden. Like it's just pencil and paper, put your phones away, all that. I've also played at tables. Lou runs the tables where we are using one of those. We built a case for a TV. So, we put the TV in a case that's on the table and he runs the animated maps and we have sound effects and everybody had their laptop or their iPad to have their character on D&D Beyond. I played it both ways. I think both ways are fine. I enjoy both ways. Some people are one or the other, but once again, I can what people are doing. I enjoy both styles of gaming, but I was kind of interested to know what exactly Paizo has for digital presence because I don't know. And if they don't have it, yeah, might be a time to now might be a time to boost that. So Cornelius says no statement is in itself a statement, and that's kind of what I was thinking. Yeah, I mean, yes, that's true, but especially the longer it goes on. And you don't have the information, the dedicated information from WotC right now. But now you've got a hard statement by Paizo and a whole bunch of publishers. So what does that mean? Priestess Lucy says, "Viva la orc revolution! Viva la orc revolution!" Well, see, Matt M says, "What do you think happens if WotC walks this back now?" I mean, a tremendous amount of damage has been done. I think. Now, I have no insider connections there, but it just seems like the feel of the community, as far as I'm connected to and understanding it, is that a lot of damage has been done. Now, whether or not how large we are now, it seems. Maybe if we canceled our D&D Beyond subscriptions and subscriptions to Magic, I'm the most casual Magic player ever. I don't do anything with the online Magic. I buy Magic cards to play with my nephews. And in fact, I found out that the way I build Magic decks is specifically called out as the worst way you can possibly build a Magic deck. So I would get torn apart in any type of Magic game or competition by anybody knew what they were doing. So I was the most casual Magic player ever as far as buying some cards and I have some decks and stuff like that. But then people started canceling that. So maybe our numbers were large enough if and we don't know, but if that actually influenced what happened here. Maybe our numbers are not big enough if a mass market movie hits and the movie is fantastic and the TV show hits and then everybody who is not really in the geekverse but watches those and goes, "Oh, hey, Dungeons and Dragons," and then they all buy the starter set from Target. Maybe they're fine. Maybe if that happens, they're fine. But on the other hand, as far as the geekverse goes, it seems like a tremendous amount of damage has been done. Paizo dropped the holy hand grenade of Antioch. That's what I was saying that Paizo dropped a bomb, but that's actually better. I like that. The Grognard says Paizo dropped the holy hand grenade of Antioch. I was trying to understand what Roll for Combat was saying about because I see something about archives here and how if you're filtering content based on a search or something, it's not static content. And I was like, what? Like, I mean, that would be ridiculous. So I was trying to find that out. Trying to catch up here. Now that's true. Vision says there's going to be a massive shortage of Pathfinder GMs. Yeah, that's true. There is. I mean, there seems to be a massive shortage of a shortage of GMs anyway. But yeah, all of a sudden, if you're really good at running Pathfinder, you're going to be in demand. Now that brings up the idea of the pay to DM stuff, which I'm not philosophically opposed to. I understand there are people on both sides of those issues. I'm not philosophically opposed to it. So now, if you are a really good Pathfinder DM on those websites where you can pay to have someone DM your group, now might be a really lucrative time for you. I hadn't thought about that, but that's a great vision. If you are a quality Pathfinder 2nd edition GM, you might be able to make some money on the pay to play. Or pay for a GM. It's not pay to pay for a GM. The Dark Cat says, I don't understand anything about D&D as I'm a Magic player, but screw it. I'm gonna subscribe. Well, thank you. I'm so glad to have you. I appreciate that. Okay, so Blue Jay says Paizo has a huge digital presence with Path Builder, the Archives, Foundry, all you need. I'm gonna look into it. We'll find out. Oh, Retro Nerd Girl is here. Hey, Retro Nerd Girl. Lurking tonight while I make a late dinner. Congrats on the record lights. Almost up to 250. Oh, awesome. Record likes and record live stream. Everybody, Retro Nerd Girl is one of our allies in the kind of philosophy of geekdom and fandom that I try to promote on this channel, which in general is to be constructive. Constructive is a big part of the philosophy that I promote here on the channel, and Retro Nerd Girl is part of that. Retro Nerd Girl runs a channel where she reviews like movies, including classic and retro movies and things like that, and TV shows, and does a really good job. She just recently posted a live stream where she did a live stream. Like, was that yesterday? Was that yesterday? I can't even remember anymore. It seems like this week sounds like forever. But she did a face reveal, so that was amazing. So, yeah, the philosophy over here on this channel is definitely about being constructive. We don't always have to be positive. I like to separate positivity from constructive, because we don't always have to be positive. Because I was originally saying I want a positive place, and I do want this to be a very positive place. Because there's so much negativity. There's so much negativity. I like to be positive. But on the other hand, if you don't like something, you have to be honest about it. Well, like we're talking about the OGL situation we don't like, or even something about a particular game or something like that. Oh, I don't like that mechanic. I prefer this over here. But the idea is that, so if you don't always have to be positive, because if you don't like something, say it, express it, that's fine. But we want to be constructive. We want to be constructive with the criticism. So even if you don't like something or something like that, we want to be constructive. And at the end of the day, as long as you're constructive, you end up being positive. So that's the philosophy right there. And I believe Retro Nerd Girl is in on that. So make sure you check out her channel as well. Let's see. Yeah, the Pathfinder beginner box also is not just a good way to learn to play, but it teaches you to GM too. Postal Apocalypse says, I was really a big fan of the way that it teaches with the solo adventure. There's been so many advances in how to learn role-playing games that kind of walks you through that, right? And the deep GMing, whether it's a solo adventure, but I believe it does that as well with the other adventures to lead players through. That the game master doesn't even have to read the organic book before the game starts. The game master, I like the philosophy of getting people into games by saying, hey, you can run this adventure, and when you come to something, it's going to tell you what the rule is and why you're doing it, so both the players and the game master can learn at the same time. What else is happening here? Oh, I think I finally got to the bottom of the comments. I'm kind of caught up here. Matt M does say that PF2 on Fantasy Grounds is what I used to run. Love it. Most people like Foundry. Whatever works for you. I have not used Fantasy Grounds. People were telling me about Foundry, and so I started looking at Foundry like 2 days ago. So yeah, there's several different options out there. Well, right. So Machina Animata says, just imagine this huge creative energy of thousands of creators not bottlenecked by just D&D. The possibilities. Yes, so Retro Nerd Girl is agreeing with the philosophy that we're espousing. So I think that's a fantastic philosophy that we need more of. Because there's so many places out there online to be negative. You just want to be negative about stuff? Lots of places out there. Here, and with the group of people that I'm trying to ally with, it's all about being constructive. We're constructive. We want to create. If we don't like stuff, well, we don't like stuff. We're not going to dwell on it. We're going to create things that we want to see in the world. That's our philosophy over here. Let's see. Well, okay. Is there any other big subject that we need to do? Because if there is, put it in the chat. If anybody come up with Critical Role, oh, I see. It looks like Critical Role is over. Critical Role might be over. Was there any news? Anything happen with Critical Role, or are they just on break or something? I don't know. They still say they're live over here on Twitch. So is this just their break or something? Is there anything we should say about Critical Role or anything else anybody knows has happened since we've been live? If so, we will talk about it. But we do have the morning grind. The morning grind, we'll be looking at the Pathfinder core system tomorrow at 9:30 in the morning. And I need to upload some Pathfinder videos about learning to play. They're already done. Oh, so we're on break. Oh, so we're just on break. John Willis is saying, Fantasy Grounds is amazing. We got another vote for Fantasy Grounds. So maybe there isn't great Critical Role news. Bernard says that this is pre-recorded. Comments were turned off, and they are off next week. Now, of course, that doesn't mean that they can't comment through other channels, right? But okay, I didn't know this. So they're off next week. They were pre-recorded here, so they weren't live responding to things, and comments were turned off, at least on YouTube or something. So that's interesting. Oh, really? So honestly, I got a little annoyed with Roll for Combat and said there was no point in trying to take advantage and make your own game because D&D is too big. I didn't hear that or pay attention to that. Well, that's interesting. Make your own game. Make your own game. Now, you have to be realistic about what its potential reach is. You do have to be realistic about it. But make your own game. Make your own game. Says there's nothing such thing as too small to succeed, especially depending on what your goals are. Depending on what your goals are, especially. My goal is the great one that I want to play with my friends. So I'm making my. All right. Now, okay, there is one last thing we've got to do. So everybody stay with me. And I forgot prepping this. This will take about 30 seconds to prep. People were wondering, wind down is we wind down a specific way. I'm going to bring this up right here. We can wind down in a very specific way. And that is actually with part of the Tales of Rabavania. There is a Tales of Rabavania channel. So there is a Tales of Rabavania YouTube that you can look up. YouTube channel. But there isn't a lot on it right now. But one of the things, because I'm going to put all the stories. I'm going to put the stories for Tales of Rabavania over there. Wait, okay, so we're bringing this up again. Robert Reed says, I think we should talk about your hair. That's amazing hair. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Robert. I really appreciate that. Somebody else that's come up on the Wind Down live stream before. So I was glad I'm having a good hair day for the Pathfinder part. So thank you. Yes. Oh, Stray, thank you for posting. Yes, check out the stuff. Also, there is a Tales of Rabavania channel. And on it is Goodnight Sword. Now, if you're part of the Geekverse, Goodnight Sword is something you would want to recommend to your children or your nephews, right? Goodnight Sword. So I created a book called Goodnight Sword and then had it illustrated, and then we also animated it. And so the Goodnight Sword video is actually over on the Tales of Rabavania channel. That's where we put the Tales of Rabavania stories. So that's the first one that's over there. And then there is a Tales of Rabavania ebook. Excuse me, there is a Goodnight Sword ebook as well on ravenkeep.net. If you go to ravenkeep.net, you can get a Goodnight Sword ebook. But I'm going to play the Goodnight Sword audiobook for you right here. So that's how we end the wind down. And here we go. I'm turning off our background music. And now it's time to
now available as a
wait, oh no, that's the wrong. No. Just 1 second. It's been a while. Audiobook, animated audiobook. Here we go. So here is the Goodnight Sword book. I hope you enjoy it.
Goodnight Sword.
It's set in Rabavania. It's the very first book, very first story set in the world.
Illustrated by Adam M. Boxer.
If you have children or nieces or nephews or cousins
you
think might enjoy Goodnight Sword, you're trying to get them introduced to fantasy, check it out. It's free on YouTube. This audiobook's free on YouTube, and you can pick up the book on ravenkeep.net. Good night.
Goodnight Sword. Goodnight Gourd. Good night, guards who keep us all safe. Good night, dagger, and the iron hauberk. Good night, cheese. Good night, keys. Good night, elm. And good night, helm. Good night, squire. And good night, liar. Good night, shield. And good night to the lance only the gallant wield. Good night, banner. And good night, jewel. Good night, gruel. Good night, knights. And good night to the old soldier who says time's been cruel. Good night, maiden fair, whose favor I bear. Good night, rabbits everywhere.